Hey, we are going to start Module 5 right now, and in Module 5 what we're doing is jumping back to the exterior wind invasion oils. So in Module 3 we covered the individual oils for exterior wind invasion, and then in Module 4 we learned how to build a formula. And now we're going to come back to those oils, and in Module 5 we're going to do 2 case studies for exterior wind invasions and look at building a formula and the process of building a formula and how that formula might be used. So we're going to do one pediatric case study and one adult case study, and we'll begin with the pediatric case study. And I apologize, you'll see me looking over here because I have to look at my computer today. I wasn't able to print out the notes and everything, so you'll just see that. I'm sorry. And so for the pediatric case study, we're looking at a case of recurring wind cold. This is a 7-year-old girl, and since starting school, okay, so recurring wind cold, 7-year-old girl. That glare isn't too much. Hope you can see that. And since starting school 6 months ago, she's been cycling in and out of being sick and not feeling well, and it seems like she never fully gets sick, but she also never fully gets well in between episodes of not feeling good. Continuous runny nose. And that's clear and white. Copious clear mucus. When she's not feeling well, she has a cough with a slight wheeze. Sometimes she gets the beginning of like a sore or scratchy throat, but it never turns into a sore throat. Lethargic. Low appetite. Digestion otherwise unaffected aside from the low appetite. She sleeps well, but would probably sleep more, but they have to get up early for school. Out of school today with that cough that was mentioned and very low energy. Last night she had some periods of slight chills and fever, but nothing extreme. Tongue. Pale, thin white coat, slightly scallops. Okay, and her pulses are Shu overall, especially in the right Sun position, and slippery in the right Guan position. So we look at diagnosis for this. So we see lingering wind cold damp invasion. Due to lung and spleen Qi deficiency. And this is, I'm sure you all know, really common presentation in kids. They're deficient in that lung and spleen Qi, so they got these chronic, lingering wind cold. The Wei Qi boosted up. So our treatment principles. We're just going to match the diagnosis. We're going to tonify lung and spleen Qi. Resolve lung damp. And release exterior wing cold. Damp. So we've got our diagnosis, we've got treatment principles, we went through the details of the case study, and then you'll find what works for you. As I describe what the next step that I do, there's two different ways I do this. I'll often, this is tricky, which would make the most sense. Well, so let's go through brainstorm some oils. So the ones that jumped out for me, I'll write up here. And then, use the discussion forum if you have other ideas or questions about why I chose one or suggestions about something that might have been a better fit that I just didn't think of. It's really fun to approach formula building in a group as a discussion to get some great ideas. And since we can't really do that in person, since you're watching the video, we can use the forum in that way. Let's see. So these are the ones I ended up choosing for it. Other ones that I considered, and we can talk about why. This one also is will be in the formula. And then where can I write? Well, I'll just tell you. So I also considered rosemary cineole and cypress. Cypress would be great if this weren't a child, and there's a caution of using cypress with a child, but there's other great ones that we can use, so we don't need to go there. But it's great to transform damp, ascend spleen Qi, stop cough, and astringe, all of which would be helpful here. But like I said, we have other oils that we can choose. Also, one I considered that didn't make this list was rosemary cineole, as I said. And I considered it's warm release exterior, but we have other good release exterior oils to work with. And because of the underlying deficiency at the root of this case, I chose ones that are a little less strong in the release exterior function, and we just don't really need the gallbladder connection. So these are the ones I did choose. So tea tree is a mid-note. It's a 4% dilution. It's cooling. Goes to the lung and the kidney. And it's strong to strengthen lung Qi, Wei Qi, and it releases the exterior. So we want both of those things to happen. And then patchouli is a base note. We'll be using it at the 3 to 4 dilution, because that's the warming and uplifting dilution. Goes to the lung, the spleen, and the stomach. So really good channel affiliation there. And it's good, it's great for expelling dampness. It releases the exterior and is great for lingering when cold, damp. Okay, so we like that function a lot. It also releases the exterior, so that's a really good one. Litsea with mid-note. It's warm, it goes to lung, liver, spleen, and kidney. It's good for releasing wind cold with an underlying deficiency. So, boom. So, release wind cold, underlying deficiency, and it supports the spleen. Fir. It tonifies the lungs, stop cough, resolve lung damp. It's mid-cool, 6%. And we got lung and kidney affiliation there. So, tonifies the lungs, stop cough, and resolve lung damp. And then ginger, we're going to use in part of the formula. And my hesitation before we jumped in to talk about the individual oils that I thought about was because often what I'll start with in my way of thinking is methods of use. And because that helps me direct building the formula a little bit, and it helps what oils you might change. For instance, I know that I want to use this in a bath, but I don't want ginger in the bath, especially not for a kit. So I'm going to construct the formula without ginger, and then for certain methods of use, certain applications, which we'll talk about in a minute, we're going to add the ginger into those. So we'll talk about that. Ginger is a mid-base. It's hot, 4%. Lung, spleen, stomach, kidney. And transforms phlegm cold, releases the exterior, tonifies the spleen, also strong in the renmai, great for a girl of this age. So these are the oils we're thinking of, and then I wrote them down in the order of hierarchy that I want them within the formula. So this is going to be our chief, tea tree, patchouli will be the deputy, Litsea, assistant, and then fir is kind of having a dual role of assistant and envoy here. And then the ginger we'll add in later, will be more of an assistant. And so I went with 35%, the tea tree's at 35%, the patchouli at 30%, fir at 15%, And oh yeah, and Litsea at 20%. So we've got 35, 30, 20, 15, and then when we add the ginger in, that's going to be at about 5% when it gets added in. So we're going to allow for that little 5% wiggle room there. So yes, these are, we wrote down the properties and why we're going to use them and everything here, and then I will erase this and rewrite them with just the oil, their hierarchy and their percentage, and from there we'll build the formula. And trying to think of a good way. So I initially thought this would be a good 6% formula, but looking at the percentages of these oils, we have 4%, 3 to 4%, 6%, linseed is 4 to 6%. So I think we'll go with a 5% dilution instead of the 6% based on the oils that were chosen. I'm going to erase this. Okay, and we can get into the math of it and then the methods of use. Tea tree, patchouli, Litsea, fir, ginger. And our tea tree is the chief at 35%, patchouli deputy at 30%, Litsea assistant at 20%, fir assistant envoy at 15%, ginger 5%. And again, we're going to add that later on its own. So I am going to take a step back and talk about the methods of use. And you think you'll see too why doing this first can help you decide the math of your formula and how much you want to make. So for methods of use, I want to do a 10 ml roller bottle that can be applied, and that will be in 5% dilution, and that can be applied to the upper chest and the back 3 to 4 times a day. And that will be an almond oil, and they can also apply that to like spleen 4, the area of lung 9 to lung 7. Those are areas that would be helpful too. So I know that I want to do the roller bottle in 5% dilution, the 10 ml roller bottle, and then I also want to do some of this neat that can be put into the little plastic essential oil inhaler or a metal one, if that's what you use. And to this one, I want to add the formula neat and undiluted, and I also want to add ginger into that. And then I also want to send them some for use in a bath, and like to start with about 4 bath stores. So again, that's going to be neat, and that's not going to have ginger. So when I figured that I want to do those 3 methods of use, I figured out that I'm going to need to make a total of this formula of 80 drops neat. So we're going to do 80 drops neat of this formula, and we don't work, we don't think about dilution yet until the part that we're diluting. So we just know that we want to make 80 drops, and that 35% of those 80 drops is going to be tea tree. And that 30 of those drops are going to be patchouli, or 30% of those drops are going to be patchouli. 20% is going to be Litsea. And 15% will be fir. So this is the total number of drops of each of those. And I did this not to insult anybody's math reasoning or ability, but I'll just be very clear and walk through each step. So for 35% of 80, I did 80 times 0.35. And that gave me 28 drops. So this is the number of drops of each. And so for 30% is 80 times 0.3, 20%, 80 times 0.2, 15%, 80 times 0.15, and then we can add all of those up. We have 28 plus 24 plus 16 plus 12, and bingo, we have 80 drops of this formula. So that's how we got 80 drops of the formula with the percentage of each oil that we wanted, making up that formula. And then out of these 80 drops, we'll look at methods of use and how we're going to divide those 80 drops up. So for that 10 ml bottle, we're going to do 17 drops total, 15 of which are going to be our formula, and 2 of which is going to be ginger. And then we're going to put those into the 10 ml roller with almond oil, and that's going to take 15 drops of the formula. And then for the inhaler, we're going to do 17 drops plus 3 ginger. So that's 17 drops of our formula. We're at 32. So we should have 48 more drops. These we're going to use for the bath. So for the bath, we're not adding any ginger, and we're just going to have these 48 drops. We'll send those home with them neat, and this is enough for 4 baths, using 12 drops in 1 cup of salt. And then if that's working for them, they like that, it seems to be helping, you could make up more of the formula neat to use in baths like that. This 10 ml bottle and the inhaler are going to last a good amount of time. And then we talked about, so the essential oil inhaler, they can use as needed and as desired. throughout the day. And for the 10 ml bottle, let's look at, so we've got this, how much of the formula we're using. I'm going to erase that part and just write down how they're going to use it. With the notes of the oils that we have, they can really do this 3 to 4 times per day on upper chest and upper back. Also will be good for use on spleen 4 and lung 9 to 7. You just roll it on that area. And that I would do direct on the points 2 times per day. So 2 of the times that they're doing it on the chest and the upper back, they can also do it on the acupuncture points. So we went through the case, the diagnosis, the treatment principles, the process of choosing the oils, the math of creating the formula and deciding percentages, and then methods of use and how to divide the formula up. Out of our total of 80 drops, we did some in the 10 ml roller, some in the inhaler, and some for the bath. So I hope all of that was clear. Let me know of any questions. I really wish we could do these parts in person for sure. It's so helpful to field questions in real time. But this is how we're doing it, and we will be doing it some in person when we meet over that weekend. So, okay, and then the next part of Module 5 is going to be the second case study for exterior wind invasions, and that's going to be an adult case study.